y'all, so I wanted to come on here. I haven't talked to y'all in a good while. I've been very busy. The month of April, was it April now? No, yeah, the month of April has been, I wouldn't say crazy, but I've been busy enough. I wanted to also update you guys on a couple of things that I've missed in other videos. So I made a list so I don't forget. So in the video where I talked about all of the different jobs that I do, DoorDash, Shipped, Upwork, photo inspection, of course Notary. I think I'm missing one. But Upwork, I didn't mention Upwork. So Upwork is where you do freelance work, and there's a lot of different jobs, like specialties that people do. Like the range is so far. There's people who do all types of things, editing, virtual assistants, writers, editors, of course. But I do transcription. So I took a transcription course back in the summer, and I decided, to put it to use. So I went on there and I've been doing transcription work for people. It depends, as far as if you make good money. I mean, I make a little bit of money here and there. It's not something that's paying too many bills. I'm just exercising my talent. It depends on the job or the skill or talent that you have. It depends on how much money you make. It depends. I would try it out. I mean, if you have talents like do other things other than notary, like if you're a writer, an editor, like there are a lot of people who are looking for people to write resumes for them or edit their papers for college apps and stuff like that. I say it's something to look. It's just small work here and there when you're not doing anything, or on the weekend or something. But about that, I will say it takes a while to. It's like a ladder that you have to climb almost. You have to make over a certain amount of you have to make a certain amount of money before you can be considered a rising star. And I just got that credential, so now the people who work with Upwork, they send me jobs that I might be interested in versus me having to go on there and look for them and put in proposals and stuff like that. I haven't been so active on that website only because I've been a lot busier with the notary. So I mean, it's just a random side thing that I do that I make small money here and there. What's next? Thumbtack. So I know a lot of y'all probably already know about Thumbtack, but if you're a notary, I would definitely make a profile and get into that to get general notary work. I haven't used it yet. My profile is not active yet because since I've been back, I don't want to get too overworked and too stressed out and flustered. So I haven't did that because when I go on there and look at people who there's a lot of work on there for general notary work. So if you're at the point where you're kind of still getting started and you're not really getting a lot of signings, I will go on there and do that because there are a lot of people out there looking for notaries. So that definitely look into Thumbtack. You have to pay for the leads that you get. So at the least, you have to pay $20 for 3 to 5 leads, and you only pay that if somebody clicks on your profile and puts in a request or something. Do your research with Thumbtack. New notaries, or just anybody, go on there. There's a lot of general work. Next, what kind of signings have I gotten into? So of course, refinances. That's the foundation of it all. I've been doing plenty of those. I've been doing seller files, buyer files. I recently just started, I did a reverse mortgage app. I've been trying to land my first reverse mortgage closing, but I did get a couple like offers, but every time I clicked on it, somebody else had got it, so I haven't got that yet, but it's never too late. I just did my first purchase closing. So how do I explain this? Yeah, my first purchase closing. So I didn't go to a person's house. You had the buyers and the sellers, and the closing was actually at the title company. And so I was extremely nervous. The file that I was sent, it said that I was going to be closing with the sellers and the buyers, and there was going to be potentially the real estate agent there, the people from the title company. There were multiple people representing certain parties. And it seemed simple. As I was reading over the file, there were documents like the property transfer affidavit. I've never seen that before. That was new. The PRE exemption, request to rescind, principal exemption, that was new. There's a lot of different documents that I had never seen before, so I was a bit nervous, but I did have time to go over them. So I kind of had a general sense of how to explain them, so that wasn't totally the problem. This is the day of this. Actually, this signing was a couple days ago. Today is Sunday. This was Friday, I think. So I get there, I walk into the title place. I see 2 rooms. There's people sitting in one room, people sitting in another room. And I go in, I'm like, hi, excuse me, what's your last name? They tell me theirs, and I ask them because I didn't know who was who. And the one room, they told me their last name, and that's who I was supposed to be with. So I'm like, okay, I walk in, and then the receptionist comes out, and she says, oh, excuse me, you have to sign a form for the COVID thing before you can come in. So I'm like, oh, excuse me. So I walk out, do that. She takes my temperature, and that's that. So I walk into the room, I sit down. I'm asking them, hey, how are you doing? Tell them who I was, getting my papers out, trying to get settled. At this point, I don't know what the process is supposed to be. I don't know who's exactly going to be there. I don't know. I know my role, but I don't know how this is supposed to go. I'm totally clueless, kind of like a deer in headlights. So this guy comes in, an older guy, and he introduced himself, and he has a bunch of files in his hands. So I'm confused. I'm like, well, okay, well, who are you, and like, what's your role? And so apparently he was a notary as well, and he was representing the title agency that we were at. And so he had majority of the loan documents, and I had a fairly small portion from my vendor. So I'm confused at that point. And he starts talking, and he says, okay, let's make sure that our papers correspond and you have the right ones and I have these. And so I'm flipping through mine, showing him what I got, making sure the numbers match up. In my head, I'm so confused, but I'm trying to keep it together and still seem like I know what I'm doing. But in my heart was beating a little fast because I felt like a fish out of water. I felt like a whole new notary all over again. I felt like this was my first one. I barely knew. I was just kind of going with the flow at this point. So I was hearing him talk to the client. So I sit down and I get my papers out and together. So I'm just kind of listening, trying to figure out how this process is supposed to go. So he starts talking. It's like, do you want to go first or I'll go first? And I say, you go first, because he had most of their loan documents. So I said that would make more sense, because he had the closing disclosure and the settlement statement. I didn't have that stuff. So I thought that they would probably want to see their numbers first to make sure those are right. So he goes and he's doing his part, and I'm just sitting there quiet listening. And then he says, well, I think you can start with them with your documents and blah blah blah. So I start with one of the sellers, and I'm getting them to sign the documents, and I'm explaining what they are. And then we get to one document. I forget, I'll put it down in the comments after, but I forget what it was. But it talked about a 1031 form. And the guy asked me, he's like, well, what does this mean? Do you know what this is? Blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know. I didn't know what a 1031 form was. I said, oh, I can call the lender and ask. But then I said, okay, maybe, this the other notary, he's saying that he's been a notary for 30 years and all that. So I'm like, okay, maybe he knows. Let's wait and ask him. So we waited, and they mentioned, what was that, and of course he knew. If the borrowers or clients don't know what a 1031, then it doesn't apply, because there was a yes, no, or not applicable. So he answered the question, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I was a bit embarrassed, but it was a learning experience. So fast forwarding, I get the sellers to sign the documents that I had, and I got the buyers to do the same. After the fact, we get up and I give the other notary my portion of the documents I needed copies of from him. So he goes to the back where the printer was and he takes care of everything. It's probably about 15-20 minutes went by. He came out and he gave me a huge stack of all of the copies and say, here you go. I went ahead and emailed your portion back to your title agency. I'm like, oh, because that was my job. But I appreciated him doing that because I didn't have access to their printer, and it didn't seem like I was going to have access at all. I would have to go home and scan everything back. Overall, I definitely felt flustered, but I looked at it as a complete learning experience. And after that, I felt, I was down just a little bit because I felt out of the loop and unprepared, but that's just one day in life. And just like when I did my very first signing, I just looked at it as it's just, oh, you're jumping into new water. So just say all that, I have 3 more purchase closings this coming week, and they're very different. This time around, I have I have bigger packages. Not only do I have the documents for the sellers and the buyers to sign, but I also have loan, like the regular loan document, the closing disclosure note, mortgage, and all of that for the person purchasing the property, because they're also doing a loan with they're also doing a loan. So it's easier to understand. I know how to now I know what to tell how the borrowers to fill out the property transfer affidavit and the PRE form. I know what those are. I know how to guide them through it. I thought it was going to be hard, but reading is fundamental. All I had to do was read the instructions page for those forms, and it was so easy to understand. So I'm definitely looking forward to this week. I'm ready for it, but I do hope it's just a fast process, because there are checks with that was mailed to me to give to the sellers and whoever else is involved. So that's a big responsibility to have such a large amount of money in my possession before the day of the signing. So I'm excited about just getting into new things and learning new things and meeting new people. And I think this will be a great opportunity to sell and put myself out there. I'm definitely going to take my business cards and leave them with the title agencies. But I think actually the one that I have to have 2 tomorrow. But one of them I think is actually at a real estate agency. So I'm really going to make sure that I look decent and I put my best foot forward and I make a good impression. And I'm definitely going to leave my information there, and hopefully, I can get future business from them. You never know. They can communicate, they can contact me. We'll see. So I'm going to keep you updated on that. I have signed up with Notary Stars, so I'm still kind of getting into that. I really do like the website and all the information that they have available to notaries. But I want to eventually, I think by next month, I want to do the Notary 2 Pro course and get that. I think that'll look good, to have that piece of education. So looking forward to that. And my birthday is coming up this month. May 17th is my birthday. I'll be 28. That's a lot to think. Well, no, I feel good about it. I look good, I feel good, so I'm excited about that. Also, I do for my laser printer, as I said before, I have the Brother MFC L2710 DW laser printer, and instead of paying $80 to get another drum unit, I got my drum unit from suppliesoutlet.com. I think it was like $25 versus 80. So if you guys are looking for, a cheaper way to do business and to spend less money on your supplies, check out suppliesoutlet.com. Also cartridgesamerica.com. That's where I get my toner and drums and whatever else. So definitely check them out. Yeah, that's an update of the month of April. And I've made a lot more money this month. I'll give you guys an update on that probably next week. And I'm also gonna do like a haul of the business attire the clothing that I wear to my signings, just so you guys get a feel of, because you don't have to be boring. You can have fun with your style and fashion. It doesn't have to be just a regular old button up and some slacks. You can add a little color in there. So I'm going to show you guys what my style is like, and I hope again that you're healthy, happy, and a good light, and I will catch up with you guys later.